It's officially 12 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, so I think we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Sarah Hagee. I'm the Executive Director here with the Electrical Association of Philadelphia. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. I'm joined by my colleague, Matt Dybert, our Program Manager, and of course, our speakers. We've got Alex Tran and Dawson Mulligan with Raytec Systems. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. And I'd also like to extend a special thank you to our member company, Locust Electrical Sales, who brought us Raytec this afternoon. Before we get started, if you've been part of these presentations, you know the deal, but I do like to let you know, of course, we are recording this event, so we cannot see or hear you. That being said, we do want questions. So go ahead and put those questions in the chat. My colleague, Matt, is going to go ahead and facilitate those questions, and we're going to do our best to get those questions answered in real time. So you don't have to save them to the end. And with that, I am going to officially kick it over to our presenters today. We've got Alex Tran, who is the Regional Sales Manager, Eastern Canada and the US, and Dawson Mulligan, who's the RSM Central Region, and they're going to tell you a little bit more about themselves as well as Raytec. Thanks so much, Alex and Dawson. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Sarah. So my name is Alex Tran. I work for Raytec Systems as the Regional Sales Manager for the Eastern sector, as you mentioned. I've been with Raytec since its inception, so basically 12 years. When Raytec Systems opened here in North America. So we came on and started working with Locust as manufacturer reps in our territory.
Hey, Alex, I'm just going to ask you to project a little bit more, please. It's a little soft.
So we started working with Locust Systems a few years ago in the Philadelphia, New Jersey, and Delaware territories. And we're here to present about our SPARTAN explosion-proof lighting, and I'm really the sales sort of arm of this presentation, and also be the technical arm of the presentation.
So my name is Dawson Mulligan. I'm the RSM division, plus the North American Hazardous Area Division lead, I would say. Essentially, I started in lighting in the LED retrofit era, which was a big moment in time in Canada with lots of incentives and things to change over to LED lighting and get more energy efficient. So I've been in lighting for about 8 years and with Raytec for 5. But I am the technical lead. You said.
Okay, there we go. So yes, good afternoon. Welcome to our Raytec learning session. We hope to provide you with some information that perhaps you didn't already know, and we will endeavor to make a really dry subject as interesting as possible. As Sarah mentioned, as we go through the presentation, if you have any questions, just kindly raise your hand, and we'll be more than happy to answer any queries as you may as they come up. And now, without further ado, let's begin. So on our agenda today, we're going to do a brief introduction of our company, Raytec, talk about what exactly are hazardous area environments, the certifications required in various types of sites, what and where these sites may be, and how Raytec can satisfy these stringent hazardous requirements. So who are we? Who's Raytec? Our company, as I may have mentioned, was founded in 2005 in the UK. And began as an LED lighting company for the security industry. Our specialty was long-range infrared lighting, so lighting that actually the naked eye can't see, but the cameras can. We grew very quickly, became highly successful in that realm, so decided to branch out and use our cutting-edge LED technology, and then we forayed into the hazardous world by manufacturing hazardous LED lamps. We are global. We sold in over 60 countries, spanning thousands of SKUs over the years since 2005. Our fixtures are designed in the UK and manufactured in our own ISO 9001 factory using environmentally friendly green initiatives. We do have stock at 2 warehouses located in Calgary, Canada, and New York. Our UK headquarters services the Eastern Hemisphere, and then our team, Dawson and I, and the rest of our team are located in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, and we service the entire Western Hemisphere with regards to sales, support, and service.
So we're going to start with getting into what is a hazardous area environment. Basically, a hazardous environment is anywhere where there is the chance of an explosion. So for an explosion to occur, you need number one, a flammable substance. This can be a gas, a vapor, a mist, a dust, Oxygen, obviously fire needs oxygen to burn, and an ignition source, which with regards to electronic equipment is usually a spark from the electrical equipment. So when we're looking at hazardous area environments, they require a specialty certification for all electronics that are going to be installed in the area. So there are multiple different certifications required in explosion-proof environments. So these intrinsically safe certifications for our North American market, this is UL 844. So C1D1 and C1D2 is classifications for combustible gases, and C2D1 and C2D2 is for combustible dust. So these can range anywhere from oil refineries, chemical refineries, food processing, woodworking, or grain processing as well. Because we're always different in North America, the rest of the world looks at ATEX and ICEX for their markets for intrinsically safe products. These are out of zones instead of classes. So there's zone 0, zone 1, and zone 2, which we'll get into shortly. On top of that, there's also requirements in other areas for UL 1598, which is for marine environments, so anything that goes onto a boat, as well as ABS, which is more stringent version of UL 1598 for requirements for any marine environments, such as docks or refueling stations. As well, we have NSF, which is for food safety and full washdown in food manufacturing. So what is C1D2? So this is the most common explosion-proof certification required in the North American market. It'll be required in anywhere where there is the chance that there is the presence of a combustible gas. So most products that are certified C1D2 will also be certified C2D2 and Zone 22 for combustible dust. Generally, these are areas where the vapors aren't always going to be present, but when they are present, they remain for a short period of time, which, if there was a spark, could create an explosion. So, as I mentioned before, ATEX, ICEX, I like this little diagram to really give an idea of where the zones exist. So zone 0 is where there's going to be an explosive atmosphere present all the time. So as you can see by the image, it's in the tank of the tanker truck or in the storage tank underneath the gas station. There will always be combustible vapors present here. Therefore, it's very strict on what sort of electronics can enter that zone. Zone 1 is more vapors may exist during operation, but only occasionally. So this would be, as you can see, when they're pumping the fuel into the tank from tank to tank, that area outside of where the hose goes into the tank, that will have vapor present during the process of transfer, as well as during the process of pumping gas into your car. Zone 2 is much more like our C1D2 classification, where there's only hazardous vapor, explosion vapor or dust present, but will not unusually present and will only persist for a short period of time. So what is an IP rating? So all of these fixtures that when they're going into explosion proof, explosion, intrinsically safe atmospheres, they need to be a high IP rating. So essentially, all of our fixtures are IP 66, 67. This allows for no dust particles to get into the fixtures or no vapors to get into the fixtures. It also prevents any sort of buildup inside the fixture of moisture when they're installed in high salinity or very humid atmospheres. So we broke this all into an easier process of application focuses. So the first application we're going to look at is wastewater treatment. So most working areas in a wastewater treatment plant are deemed hazardous locations because of the many gases emitted during the treatment process. These can include anything from methane, ammonia, chlorine, or ozone. The presence of these chemicals also requires that the fixtures be extremely corrosion resistant, because obviously methane, ammonia, chlorine will eat right through any sort of polycarbonate fixture. So our fixtures are designed with copper-free aluminum housings. That was a requirement on this application for the clients. Also, within the wastewater treatment, there can be a very high operating temperature. So whether that's during the drying of sludge or boiling of water or release of vapors, the temperatures can reach up to 150 degrees Celsius. So there was also a requirement for a T3 temperature rating, which all of our fixtures have. And in addition to that, the client had another requirement that because of it being a 24-hour facility, they wanted to be able to replace components on site to reduce downtime on the facility and hold other components on site right away for easy replacement.
So for the wastewater treatment plant that we spoke of, it was a Canadian site. So the C1D2 certification is obviously required. Our NL linear is the obvious choice because of limited available space amongst all the equipment. And this fixture has a very small footprint with a very high lumen output, almost 15,000 lumens. This fixture offers multiple mounting and beam pattern options, which allows for the use of just simply one fixture throughout the entire facility with different lumen packages or walkways, gangplanks, and reservoirs. Being able to use this one fixture throughout the entire facility makes the installation easier and reduces installation times as well.
So one of the largest applications that we're undertaking in the UK especially is with distilleries. So our UK team has worked with Diageo and several other Scotch manufacturers in the Scottish Highlands to replace all the lighting in their facilities with our Spartan lights. The focus here is solely on a distillery in Scotland for Scotch. So the idea there was that the client had a requirement of a zone 2 environment, because obviously when they're distilling the alcohol, there's lots of vapors that are coming up and not always present, but the chance that they will build up and become an explosive environment is there. Therefore, a zone 2 fixture was required. They also required zone 22, which is for dust. So in their storage areas of barley and different grains that are required for the making of alcohol, Scotch, they needed these fixtures to prevent the intrusion of fine dust particulate and avoid any sort of explosions. Also, there was a requirement for emergency lighting and aesthetics, obviously. So our fixtures are quite good looking. They really like the look, the cleanness, and the high lumen delivery from each fixture.
So the distillery already had all fluorescents in place. So switching over to the Spartan linear was an easy decision, as we offer direct replacements for 2, 4, and 5-foot fluorescent fixtures. The client really liked, again, like as Dawson mentioned, the look of the Spartan linear, very clean and very modern. So they actually opted out of regular standard emergency lighting circuits that would be, and they replaced them with emergency battery backup linears, the ones that we offer, in locations where the standard emergencies were required. The entire distillery was furnished with Raytec fixtures, and being so, our intelligent emergency feature reduced the maintenance times, as the need to manually check and service every emergency linear was eliminated. And we'll go into further detail about what does intelligent emergency mean in a later slide. Our linears as well offer very modular parts, and we're going to show that to you in just a moment on the actual fixture itself. These modular parts span the entire range of the fixtures, so minimal parts on hand are needed for maintenance. These parts are easily replaceable power supply units and batteries, and also lens packs, which allow for service on site rather than having to remove the entire fixture and then sending it off site for repairs, which results in a lot more downtime. So we're just going to show you the fixtures themselves.
Go. So this is our Spartan linear. This is our 2-foot linear. C1D2 rated. It comes with this is an emergency backup. So this is the emergency battery backup right here. The driver is housed in here, so we keep everything separate away from the LEDs to maximize heat dissipation and light on the fixture. But also, as Alex was saying, all these components are interchangeable. So you can hold a new battery on site, you can hold new LED modules or lenses on site, as well as new drivers on site. So if there is ever a failure with any components of the fixture during its lifetime, it's very easy maintenance. You actually can just have to send in a technician. It simply comes off with an Allen key. You can't use the bolts because they hold in place, and essentially just change out every component of the fixture.
Thank you, Sarah. On to the next slide.
Okay, so another big application for us is marine environment. So I mentioned 1598A earlier, as well as ABS. This here is an example of a refueling station in northern BC along the coast. Saltwater corrosion is a major environmental problem for equipment installed to eliminate ships, waterways, marine ports, or terminals. When upgrading marine infrastructure, the client was looking for UL 1598 and ABS certification on their equipment, as well as a triple layer powder coated copper-free housing to avoid any corrosion of the fixture due to high salinity. Also low glare, and they took into the environment into their design because they don't want to any light pollution or deterrence of animals in the region. So they maximized it by lowering the CCT, so they went down to a 3000 Kelvin, as well as with the dissipation of minimization of glare. So the other issue that the client had to take into account was the ambient temperature. So in northern BC along the coastline, you can get all the way down to 40 degrees, minus 40 degrees Celsius. So they have a very wide operating temperature, because in the summertime, it's going to get up to possibly plus 40 and then minus 40 in the winter. The light has to function at all times. So that wide operating temperature was a solid requirement of the job.
So to satisfy all the stringent client requirements, the SPARTAN XR Bay was suitable for the marine application, as it holds the C1D2 certification and the ABS certification as well, as also mentioned. These lamps were all located in zones where vessel refueling occurs. So there's a lot of flammable vapors that can surround the area, creating a highly explosive environment. The vessel, of course, is immersed in a heavy salt marine environment. So the copper-free aluminum extra tiger shield coating creates an ultra-resilient extrusion that can withstand a harsh environment for years. I'm going to show you what that actually looks like.
Yep. So this is our XR fixture. There's multiple mounting options to it. As you can see in the image of the prior slide, it was a post mount option, but we also have wall mounts, bay mounts, conduit, pendant mounts, trunnion mount to make it a flood. So it's not just a high bay, it's a flood as well. But just like the linear, all the components can be changed on site. So the LED modules, the lenses, the driver's housed in here. So once again, removing the driver from the LEDs to maximize lifetime and heat dissipation. We also have the cool extrude fins here to maximize heat dissipation once again. Usually in a fixture, the first thing that's going to die is the driver. So right away, you have easy access to the driver. The fixture remains installed for life. The driver is just easily replaced on site.
And again, that speaks to the modularity of all of our units. So we tout the fact that you can have all units, spare parts for the units on hand at any time. back to.
So another big reason why we actually got started in the hazardous area environments is we were working with explosion-proof camera manufacturers and created IR lighting on offshore platforms, especially in the UK, where there's a lot of offshore drilling in the North Atlantic. So one of the big requirements that we had customers come to us for was both Zone 1 and Zone 2 IECX certification, but they were also looking for emergency backup lighting. So on a rig, you're in the middle of the ocean. If the lights go out, it's very dark and very hazardous for safety reasons, but also the presence of gases, gaseous vapors, and explosive vapors make those requirements of Zone 1 and Zone 2 extremely necessary to avoid an explosion on a platform. The main component here, though, as I said, was the client was really looking for that backup option. So we offer the backup option, as I was talked about a little bit before, for all of our floods and all of our linears, and up to 100% output.
So what makes our emergency units, top of the line and cutting edge? So the Spartan bulkhead that we showed in the previous image offers nickel metal hydride batteries, which virtually eliminate the issues of standard nickel cadmium batteries, which are much bulkier, heavier, less efficient, and offer a shorter lifespan, and they're more susceptible to battery drain. These batteries are also easier to recycle and more environmentally friendly, which is in keeping with our company's green philosophy. We spoke about intelligent emergency lights before. So with the, as with the linears, as we spoke about in an earlier slide, they offer intelligent emergency. The bulkhead offers the same feature. And what that means is the fixture randomly self-tests. So a technician is not required to regularly check the performance of the lamp. Bear in mind that as these units are going through their own self-testing, the lamp does stay illuminated during this entire process. So there's no downtime. As you can see from the slide, there are LED indicator lights on the fixture, green, amber, and red, that clearly state the status of the lamps, whether there's an issue with the battery, if it's in the middle of testing, or if the unit is in regular operating mode. Typically, the discovery of failed lamps only occurs during power outage, which really defeats the entire purpose of having emergency lighting. So when we created this intelligent emergency feature, we're trying to be proactive with finding out if there's an issue with the lamp before there's an event. The same product, the Spartan bulkhead, also can be used as an exit sign. So for the site that Dawson mentioned, to complete the entire facility lighting requirements, the Spartan bulkhead can also be used as an intrinsically safe exit sign with the addition of a very simple mounting kit. As with the linear, then this becomes an intelligent emergency exit sign with a self-testing capability as standard.
So one of the large jobs that we've done in North America was actually a mine. The customer came to us. They were looking for a solution to replace their high pressure sodium lighting, 400 watts per fixture. So we offered them an LED solution to increase efficiency, lower the cost of electrical consumption, and just have a longer life in general. Lighting is critical in mines. If you look at the history of safe lighting in mines, staff relies heavily on it, certainly you're underground, but there's also the definitive chance that hazardous gases can be released during the mining process. So they used to send canaries down mines, obviously today, but with hazardous gases that are combustible, if you do have lighting in there that's not intrinsically safe, there is a good potential for an explosion. An explosion in an occupied mine is very dangerous. But also there's the chance of not only vapors, but dust can also come up. So coal mining is a great example of that, where the particulate is extremely combustible. So if it does get into a fixture that is not C1D1 or C1D2 rated, there is a good chance of explosion. Also, the customer on this one they wanted to install some of these fixtures over a conveyor belt. So with the conveyor belt dropping rocks and raw material onto it, there was a requirement of high impact resistance. So an IK09 certification was required on all the fixtures installed around the conveyor belt.
Just wanted to show further to Dawson's point on this slide here. This is actually a client who took this photo and sent it to us because they wanted to actually show the difference between the existing high pressure sodium lamp that was installed on the left versus our LED fixture on the right. And as you can see, the luminance is far greater, and also you have much better color rendition as well with our lamp. So it was a kind of a cool image. He said, I want to take a picture before we replace all the lamps, just so that we can show the difference. So for the mining application, obviously, typically they are located in remote locations that require high lumen output. So our Spartan high power flood offers up to 25,000 lumens, and the same fixture using different mounting kits can be converted into a high power bay fixture. Much like all of our other fixtures, we touted the various mounting options, being able to use one fixture for multiple purposes. So this is no different. The high power flood also touts the ability to install the power supply remotely for ease of maintenance, as typically these fixtures are mounted 20 or 30 feet in the air, while the power supply is at ground level to facilitate the service and maintenance. All these features and benefits made the high power flood the best choice for the mining application, and including the vibration rating that Dawson speaks of as well. Dawson also mentioned that there was a requirement at the mine for C1D2 and C1D1 fixtures. So we introduced these smaller lamps in locations that had 120 volts and also required low voltage requirements as well. So again, with multiple mounting options, whether it be with a yoke mount or surface mount, it allowed for this fixture to be installed in various different locations. The glare reduction lens and the low profile as well meant that the fixture can be squeezed into tight spaces. And we're going to show you exactly what that looks like just right here.
So this is the EXE fixture. It has a self-contained junction box with three-way entry point, MPT 3/4 inch. Essentially, it once again removes the driver away from the LEDs, keep everything intrinsically safe, as well as increased lifetime of the fixture. Glare reduction, it's not a huge lumen output, obviously only about 1200 lumens, but for areas where C1D1 is usually required, it is not they're not usually the largest of areas. They're usually small where there's the presence of explosive vapors constantly. The other fixture that Alex was mentioning is our high power flood fixture over here. So this is our high power flood or bay fixture, dependent on the mounting brackets, but we run up to 25,000 lumens on this fixture. It can be C1D1, C1D2, Zone 1 or Zone 2 certified, or tri-rated as well. So we have the option of having all three certifications rolled into one. But very, very resistant, and it can really take an impact from base or rocks or anything thrown at it. And the customer was very interested. So another important environment for either explosion proof or food safety is the food processing and quality control inspection portions of manufacturing. So this application focus is on a job we did in North America once again. It was a food producer, so food production environments require stringent sanitation practices. So fixtures must have the ability to withstand full wash down and continuous spray. So all of our fixtures that would go into this application, primarily the AR, are IP67. It's also a very corrosive environment when it comes down to cleaning chemicals. So much like the marine applications, the customer is looking for something very corrosion resistant. We looked at on this job both C1, D2 for gaseous areas. So anything, that would be the presence of a flammable gas, as well as T2, D2. So this would be anything from, in a baking facility, flour particulate, grains, sugar, that could result in an explosion. There's also a need for different variables for dimming and high color rendering index.
So for the food safety application, the fixture needs to be suitable for full wash, spray wash down. So we chose the AR bay to fit into this application. This unit can also be temporarily submerged. So regardless of how much water is being shot at it, it will withstand that. The dimming capability means that it enables the customer to change the light output level for various different tasks within the facility using one lamp. So for example, higher light levels during quality control checks, cleaning and the disinfecting process, and then lowering those levels to more standard light levels during normal operation hours. As Dawson mentioned, the higher PRE, so we offer a PRE of 90, which is required for quality control as it provides true color rendition. So, greens are greens and not blues, and reds are not orange.
So in summary, our Spartan line contains obviously all of the IECEx certifications, but also C1, D1, C1, D2 approved. We didn't get really into the industrial variants, but we also offer all of these fixtures in an industrial, I would say more of a heavy industrial, just because they are the same fixtures minus the certifications. But we offer all solutions for any facility, linear, bay, flood, compact solutions. As Alex just mentioned, the AR runs all the way up to 48,000 lumens, which is a massive. We've installed it on high mass applications as well as extremely high warehouse facilities. All of our units are copper-free, high-pressure die-cast aluminum, so that just avoids corrosion, makes them suitable for UL 1598 and ABS certifications. We offer a wide range of voltages, so whether it's our Spartan WL linears that you saw earlier can run low voltage, but we also run voltages all the way up to 347 and 480 volts. And everything is manufactured either in our North American facility in Calgary or in our facility in the northern UK.
If you ever get your hands on an actual unit, you'll actually be able to see how very strong and robust the units are. This is something that we tout versus the competition. Even though they may satisfy all the certification requirements, we tend to feel, maybe biased, but we tend to feel that our fixtures are much more robust and resilient than the competition. So you don't have to take our word for it. We have a little video to show you an example of how strong our units are. So that basically, when we actually had an event in the UK, and that's where we took a lot of those videos, where we had an introduction to Spartan when we first launched the line, and actually invited people to come in and basically walk a Spartan. So that's where some of those videos came from. And so in closing, we also wanted to offer, wanted to let everybody know that we do offer support services as well in the form of LED lighting design, 2 or 3D designs, as you can see some examples. We can also offer an energy and cost savings report, which means if the site has old HID light sources or fluorescent sources and they're switching to LED, we can actually offer you a report that states, how much of your electrical cost savings over a certain amount of years that you will be experiencing if you switch over to LED as well. We do all custom product design. So if you have a site, like we looked at the distilleries, wastewater, if you want your lighting to look a certain way or want to use certain fixtures, we can definitely adhere to your requirements. We offer also training materials as well as you're experiencing right now. And as far as furthering the free lighting design service, just wanted to show some more examples of some of the types of designs that you can expect. So these are true photorealistic renderings of the site, and you'll be able to see that on the left-hand side, you'll see that that's the design that we created ourselves. And then the customer using a drone actually took a photo of the site, the actual site, once the fixtures were installed. So you can see that we can actually guarantee a certain light level and guarantee that your site will look a certain way if you take our suggestions as to which fixtures to use and where to mount such fixtures as well. And then the second example is the same. So basically the image on the left is our actual lighting design, and the image on the right is the real image of the completed design. So that's basically it, folks. That's our presentation for the day. And if you've got any questions, just go ahead and raise your hand and shout them out, and we'll be happy to answer.
Well, Alex and Dawson, first off, I want to thank you both for a great presentation. It was extremely dynamic and very informative. And again, that video, it really says it all in terms of the durability of your product. And, what I love about these kinds of events is the ED here, I get to learn about all the different segments and verticals that the industry really supports, and how important it is to have these kinds of products in the right places to keep everyone safe. So that message was well received. Thank you very much. Matt, are there any questions that have come through the chat at this point? I know.
No questions in the chat, Sarah.
Well, then we must have hit everything, Alex and Dawson. So with that, I'd like to thank you both so much for coming today and giving us this wonderful presentation. We have recorded it, so we're excited. We're going to be passing along to everyone so that everyone else at other companies and our members can check out the technology. And finally, we look forward to seeing you in October here in Philadelphia at our show. It'll be a great opportunity to meet with all of our members and constituents.
Wonderful. We look forward to it. Thank you so much for having us and for taking the time out of your day to spend some time with us and learn about hazardous area lighting. So both Dawson and I really appreciate your time, and hope you have a great rest of the day.
Great. Thank you. And thank you, Locust. Appreciate it. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.